In a previous video, we introduced this framework called SCAN, which can help us make sense of complexity. It's really very simple. It's just an axis of time, how long we have before or after a given now, and the degree of uncertainty, the degree of unpredictability, the degree of uniqueness. What I want to do in this video is look at the decision-action loop and how these interact with each other to form the loop itself. So the way I'm going to do it here is just look at it in terms of a straightforward description of sense, make sense, decide, act. Now the only time we can sense something is immediately after the moment of action. It can be very, very close to the moment of action, but it's always somewhat after. We talk about real time, but in fact it's not. It always happens after. So we're collecting information of what has just happened. From there, we loop round to before the next now, and we make sense of what's going on. From there is a kind of transition point where we, having made sense of something, we decide what we're going to do on the basis of that, of sense making, and from there we then go into the moment of action. We act, we take action in the now. Now that all looks straightforward, and there's quite a lot of descriptions of this. We've got the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. It's the same frame. But there's a catch, and that is that it varies according to whether it's certain or uncertain. We've got very different ways of working, as again we've described in a previous video. There's a very real boundary, and the simple way that a machine makes sense with an algorithm, and it makes its decisions on the basis of rules. So that's a machine. But when we're dealing with inherent uncertainty, we have to do the same loop a quite different way. We still make sense, but it's in terms of patterns rather than algorithms. It's dealing with inherent uncertainty. And the decide that happens on the basis of principles. Those are the things that guide us when we're dealing with the uncertain. That's if we're dealing with human or skill to deal with certain versus uncertain. So our question here is always in terms of what type of make sense do we need? What type of decision do we need? What support do we need for those kinds of decisions? And also notice that it happens inside itself. Inside each one of these will be more of them. Another little one right here. And inside of those will be another one. And so it becomes highly fractal in that sense, depending on where we say the decision must be taken in order to reach that now, the action in the now. So that's the decision-action loop. Sense, make sense, decide, act. But the way we get there may be different according to whether we're dealing with certainty or truth, and uncertainty or value, decision, usefulness. We can use machines for that part of the loop. We generally are going to rely on some kind of skill on that side of the loop. So the sense-making, decision-making loop depends on the level of uncertainty that we're dealing with. Thanks for watching. Do look at the YouTube description for links to further detail. And don't forget to subscribe for other videos, and also to support us on Patreon to help us produce these videos and the tools themselves.